And we are live. Okay. So what are my plans here this evening for this live stream? Well, it's a Sunday evening here in the US and I had some free time. I was just sitting here at home relaxing. Didn't really have anything planned. I really didn't want to do anything that could be considered work. So I really didn't want to, make any informative like tutorial videos for the channel. I didn't want to like go to the gym and work out. I really just kind of wanted to relax. Wanted to maybe watch some Netflix, or what I thought would be relaxing and also a bit informative, gaming. I recently bought a video card. I had a 4-year-old video card in my main production machine. It was an NVIDIA Geforce 760 and it began acting up on me. So what I needed to do was I needed to replace that card. Things just weren't working right. I wasn't able to stream. I couldn't stream basically at all. It was getting real bad. I could barely even record my desktop with that 760. It was acting up so bad. So I replaced the 760. I went and bought a new Geforce GTX 1060. And for the last few days, I've had it 3 days, maybe 4 days, this 1060. Made a couple of videos. I even did one live streaming event, but I didn't stream anything graphically intensive. I didn't do any gaming. So tonight I figured I would kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to relax, play a little bit of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, just to chill out on a Sunday evening. But also I really needed to test this card, see how it handled Steam, how it handled streaming, live gaming. Even though I don't do much of that on my channel, I really want to test this card a little bit. For those of you in the chat, it's like Bad Wolf is already in the chat. He says hello. How's it going, Bad? This is a very impromptu stream too. I decided to do this stream. I've been toying with the idea of doing a streaming event tonight for the last couple of hours, but I didn't have Steam installed. I wasn't sure how long it would take for me to install Counter-Strike. This is a fresh install of Manjaro. I installed Manjaro i3 on this machine about a week ago, so I didn't even have Steam or all the games that I own on Steam downloaded. So it actually took quite some time to get those games downloaded and installed. So I just decided here at the last minute, you know what? I'm just going to send out a notice, about 10 minutes ahead of time that I'm going to start a live stream. If some folks show up, great. But really, again, I needed to test this video card. Let's see. Present Arms is in the chat. He says hello. Hello, Present Arms. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and fire up Steam here. AJK is also in the chat. How's it going, AJK? And Bad Wolf mentions he owns a ton of games, but he doesn't own CSGO. Yeah, I'm actually not much of a gamer, but when I do game, I prefer doing games like first-person shooters because they're quick in and out sort of games. I can join a room or a server, play 10-15 minutes, frag as many people as I can, and get right back out. Instead of, some games you end up wasting hours of your life, sometimes weeks and months of your life trying to complete them. I don't have that kind of time, and I like to do productive things for the most part, and spending weeks or months trying to beat a game is not very productive in my opinion. You guys that are in the chat, do me a favor. How does the desktop audio, the game audio, sound to you? Is it loud enough? Is it too loud? I've got it turned down a little bit because I definitely don't want this game to be too loud because there'll be a lot of gunshots and explosions. But I also don't want it to be non-existent as far as the audio. Sounds fine? Alright, that was Spudley. Thank you, Spudley. It's a bit quiet for me, but it's fine. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit. Again, I turned it down on purpose, but Let me see if I can get my mouse free of the game here. This is a problem here in the tiling window manager I'm using. This is Qtile I'm using today. Yeah. I mean, I can get to the other screen, but the mouse keeps coming back to Steam. Alright. Finally escaped out of it. I will turn it up a few decibels, though, just to make sure everybody can hear it. Alright. We have a couple of other folks in the chat. Is that Joe? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your name. I've seen you, though, comment on some of my videos. Nascimento, I'm assuming it's the last name. Just gonna call you JN. JN, good evening. Good to see you here. I'm bad at pronouncing a lot of these names. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and join a server. Let's see. What do we want to do today? How about the Diffusal Group Sigma? Anselm is in the chat. So much for notifications. Well, you wouldn't have got much of a notification. I decided to press the stream button about 10 minutes before I went live. So if you got a notification, it was lucky. It was by pure luck that you got one, because again, this wasn't a planned event. And when I get into the game, because I don't have a preview window from YouTube showing me the stream, if there's any problems with the video, guys, let me know about it. If everything looks like it's working fine, let me know about that too. Does this make it video 201? No, video 200 actually was the last live stream I did, but I did that video, what, 2 or 3 nights ago, and I've actually recorded some videos. I didn't do any live streaming, but this is actually video 204 or 205 now. Alright, let's see. We're going to join the counter-terrorist group. Yeah, the stream is looking good. Says Bad Wolf, present arms, working fine here. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see if we can go ahead and get in the game. And I warn you guys that that have seen me play this game before on live streams, I suck really bad at this game. The only reason I ever really played this game is to test out streaming. And because I hop a lot, and in this case I hopped and installed a new video card. You know, it's the reason I do things like play Counter-Strike Go on these live streams. Because it is a good way to test your system. But I really suck at this game. And I have no idea where everybody went. Why am I the only one still here? And I'm not familiar with this particular map. Like I said, I haven't played this game much. Pretty much the times you've seen me play this game on my live streams, that is about as much as I've ever played Counter-Strike. Spudley mentions, is it the 3 gig or 6 gig 1060? This is the 3 gig. Which should be more than enough video RAM for what I do. My last card, the 760, was 2 gigs of video RAM, and it was fine streaming CSGO. It was fine doing everything I needed. I record my desktop with 1080, 60 frames a second with the 760. Before, you know, in the last month, all of a sudden it started crapping out on me. So the 760 worked well. The 1060 is a nice upgrade from the 760. So I expect things to work fine with this card. I would have liked to have stepped it up a little bit, you know, kind of future-proof my hardware and gone with the 1070 or 1080. But the 1060 is kind of like the last level of cards before they get outrageously expensive. Like, I paid about $350 with tax for this 1060 at Best Buy. The next card up, of course, is the 1070, priced at $500. Couldn't do that. And the 1080, I would have loved to have done that, but that is like the down payment on a car, you know. So, yeah, the streaming is perfect, says JN. Keegan's in the house. What's up? We've got Powell Colano also in the house. Nix is here. We got a few people join this very impromptu stream. Anyway, I just wanted to see how the card handles live streaming in OBS while playing, you know, a game in Steam. You guys say it's looking good. I take your word on it. I'll watch the stream later, though, after I record it. Bad Wolf, don't even ask how much I paid for my Gigabyte 1080 Ti. I have a pretty good idea. If I had to guess, $800 at least. I can't do that. I don't have that kind of extra cash lying around. And, you know, maybe one day this channel, you know, would be able to pay for some of these hardware expensive, but right now there's no way I could drop nearly $1,000 on a graphics card. Present arms, and here is me on a Haswell i5 with onboard graphics. Yeah. And you know, I typically, like on all my machines, I don't run the greatest hardware. I'm a cheap kind of guy. You know, I don't buy high-end stuff at all. The laptop you guys see me use sometimes, that's always behind me in a lot of my videos. That laptop cost me $320 about 3 years ago. It's a Toshiba Satellite with an AMD A8 processor, so with, you know, integrated graphics. No dedicated graphics card, obviously, being that cheap. But that's the kind of equipment I normally run because Linux runs great on it, and again, I tend to be cheap. But I have to spend some money on hardware, obviously, for this channel. You know, I have to have a graphics card to use OBS, I mean, a serious graphics card. And to do any live streaming, there's really no other option. Of course, I spent a lot of money on some of the audio, too. The mic I use, the mic stand I use, just the mic stand for my Blue Yeti mic. The Rode, what is it, the Rode PSA 1. The mic stand itself cost me $100. The Blue Yeti itself cost me $150. Yeah. So, but I imagine, you know, a year down the road or so, the channel will pay for some of this stuff. I'll make a few bucks here and there, or at least lessen the cost. So, let's see, going back to the chat. Mr. Go F yourself. He is in the chat. Mr. F has been telling me I need to take a look at Parrot OS, and I actually downloaded it today, but I could not get it to install in a VM. I don't know why. Grub would not install using their installer. It looked like they were just using the standard Debian installer. It was a terminal-based installer. But for some reason, when you get to the part where it installs the system, the last thing it does is installs the Grub bootloader. Grub would not install. And I could not figure out why. The partition schemes and everything looked good. You know, the partition had the bootable flag turned on, but for some reason the installer just had a problem installing Grub. I tried 3 or 4 different times, and I just could not get it to install. That was the Parrot Home Edition, though. That wasn't the Security Edition. Because I'm not a penetration tester, you know, I'm not a computer forensics kind of person, so it wouldn't make sense for me to do the Security Edition. I installed their Home/Workstation Edition, or tried to install it. What I may end up doing is taking a look at Parrot OS, their home edition, maybe on a live USB if I can't actually get it to install. Mr. Go F Yourself says he thinks they have VM images. Well, that would be great if they already have a VM image for me to download. And JN, same here, always trying to run behind the best hardware, but the money don't follow along. Yeah. It would be very unusual for me to ever have anything top of the line as far as hardware. I've never been one of those people that something brand new and shiny comes out and I just have to have it. That's, you know, I'm always running mediocre hardware at best, and usually really old stuff. I will run the same hardware for a decade as long as I can kind of make it work. Oh crap. Dang. I'm so bad at this game. I saw him throw that grenade at me too. I just couldn't get out of the way. Bad Wolf mentions Grub is the worst. He uses system deboot. Huh. Babbler asks, what's wrong with Grub? Well, the fact that I can't get it to install sometimes. That's one thing that's wrong with it. Bad Wolf mentions it's old and broken. Yeah. You know, there was another bootloader option, though, in the Parrot OS install. There was an option to install Lilo. It didn't install either. It had the same problem Grub 2 had. It wouldn't even install. Couldn't even get it to write to the disk, so. What is going on over here? Somebody is just wasting all kinds of ammo. Got him. Ha ha ha. And I'm terrible at this game. I would love to tell that guy over the microphone how bad he sucks if I killed him. Huh. We actually won that round. Huh. Not bad. Looks like I joined a pretty good team here.
When you get most elims with a negative.
And Mr. Go F Yourself, you mentioned the Security Edition is the one you're using. Maybe I should download that and see if I can get that one to install. Only problem with installing that one, I can't really review it. I know nothing about any of those pen testing apps, and you know, so it would be a pretty weak review on my part, because that's just not my wheelhouse. That's not my thing. They also offer one, Parrot Studio, which is a multimedia one. That one looks interesting. I would love to check that one out, actually. I guess it's kind of like an Ubuntu Studio, but it's Parrot Studio.
I really thought Shift was going to get it.
And Tutorious Cat is in the chat. I installed Linux and it works on my laptop fine, but I tried it out on a USB on my main PC, which uses Rampage VI Extreme motherboard, but wired internet does not work, and Wi-Fi is very slow. Well, if the installed version of it works fine, that's great. It sucks that the live USB stick doesn't work out for you, but the installed version works. I would think that's a plus. Alright. I'm just going to follow these guys. They look like they know what they're doing. Or I can go John Rambo in the last couple of seconds of the warm-up round. And yeah, Tutorious is asking, is it a driver issue? I wouldn't think it would be a driver issue. especially if your Wi-Fi was working. That usually you have driver issues with the Wi-Fi, but not a wired connection. Yeah, investigate the modules. What distro were you installing? We should probably start there too. Yeah, Tabella is also in the chat. He mentions maybe try a different distro. Well, depending on what he installed, you know, sometimes there are problems setting up the network connection. Like if you install mainline Arch, a lot of times you don't have internet working right away. You do have to configure it a little bit. But if he's installing something like Ubuntu, yeah, I've never had a problem with internet not working on something like that. Tutorius mentions MX Linux 17. Okay. Yeah, that's a Debian-based distro. Yeah, I can't imagine why your wired connection is not working. But you know what? You might just go to their forums and ask. I know one of the devs hangs out on YouTube a lot, Run with the Dolphin. Cool guy. Might want to ask him maybe on one of his videos. Dang. Didn't even see where this guy was shooting me from. Oh, he was behind me. That would be why. It's a very difficult game to play. I mean, I could probably learn to be a little better at it. But again, it's just something to waste a little bit of time. And again, to test the graphics card. Yeah, Tutorius mentions he's seen Dolphin's videos before. It's a good idea to ask him, yeah. Being one of the MX devs, you know, he would be more than happy to try to help you with your problems. I mean, that's what he's there for. You might also check, you know, their support forums. I'm sure they probably have a IRC chat channel for support. Just a matter of fact, I would check into their IRC channel first, because usually you can get an answer straight away if there's a few people in the chat, especially if it's not like a really weird problem. Limler is in the chat. Oh, look at this. The next Linux gamer. No. I might do a little more gaming on the channel because I'm really not a gamer at all. I know some people enjoy even watching me just completely suck at CSGO like I'm doing right now. I know a lot of people kind of enjoy this kind of stuff. I enjoy it too, especially from the standpoint of testing out hardware like this new graphics card I just bought. You know, it actually makes sense to do something like this. Run a game for a little bit and live stream. Stress the system. I could see doing something like this, you know, mainly for reviewing hardware. Oh my goodness. How did I not kill that guy? No, I'm definitely not kicking butt here in CSGO. One of the guys in the chat. I have fragged 2 or 3 people since joining the game. But those guys must have been total noobs to let me kill them. But either that or they were AFK away from keyboard. Yeah. Powell Colano, maybe try Dota 2. It's free on Steam. I actually have never played Dota. Might be worth checking out. And Babbler mentions modern games feel like a ripoff. Stick to the old games. Actually, that's something I would love to do more of on the channel, is retro gaming, because I agree, that stuff is a lot more interesting than the modern stuff, for the most part. Did I just go in a circle? Am I back at the beginning? Oh. But yeah, I would love to do some old school retro gaming. I would love to do like more terminal based games. I know I was doing the 30-day living in a tiling window manager and using terminal apps. So I would love to do some old school terminal based games. And there's actually quite a few of those. And a lot of those are really fun games to play. Even nowadays, I mean... A Bad Wolf, it says, DT360 no scope. Did I have a rifle I could use a scope on? I'm not that familiar with this game. Let's see, Tutorius. Years later, and I still love playing the old Pokemon games. We have Fidel Arnold. Hi, DT, and everybody. Hi, Fidel. We have ABC in the chat. He says, wow. Wow, at my awesome gameplay, I'm assuming. Yeah. Hex DSL does a lot of the old stuff. We'll check it out. I don't have a great laptop, but I scored an Asus X540 1TB 4GB RAM for $200 at a pawn shop. Sounds like a good deal, actually. You get any machine that's working for $200, you probably got a pretty good deal on it. Anyway, drink a little bit of my tasty beverage here. Anyway, the stream has been running for about half an hour. And I don't have a preview window of the stream up and running, but you guys in the chat, any stuttering at all? Any weird flickering? Or is everything just
dead chat
squared away?
Live chat.
ABC, I want to join in. CSGO boot on wine. Well, you would just use the Linux client if you're on Linux, though. I mean, you would just install Steam and then install CSGO in Steam. Yeah, everybody mentions that the stream's doing fine. Okay. Ooh, I see a guy over here. Wow, how did he get me? I thought I'd moved out of the way. I thought I'd moved behind the wall. Oh, he shot me through the wall. See, these are the things I need to know about this game. That you can shoot people through a wall. And JN, he's done what he said to contribute to the Linux community, talking about my how to contribute, how to give back to Linux. He is seeding 38 ISOs at the moment. Good job. It's a really good thing to do, especially the smaller distros. They need that. And some looks good. Maybe I'll get the 1060 instead of the 1070. If you can afford the 1070, I'm sure it is a monster graphics card. It's just such a high price, you know. I would love to make enough on this channel to eventually upgrade to a 1070 or the 1080, but man, that's just such a big price tag on those. The 1060 is like the best card you can get without having to basically pay an arm and a leg for it. And Fidel, do you feel that your 1804 is better than the 1604? You talking about Ubuntu? I'm not actually running Ubuntu 1804 or 1604 on any machines right now. If you're talking about just in general, the new Ubuntu 1804 looks good. The GNOME desktop looks attractive. It's
Oh man.
I really liked Unity better though, so I would probably, personally, what I would do, because I liked Unity, if I was going to use a major desktop, would be just to install Unity on 1804. GNOME just uses way too much CPU and memory for my taste, but yeah, the Ubuntu LTS releases are always solid. I mean, it's a distro I can always recommend to somebody. One thing I noticed is that I'm having problems with my keyboard right now. The batteries may be a little low in this wireless keyboard. That may cause me to actually stop the game here in a minute. I'll see if I can get through this round, and then we may go ahead and quit trying to game, unless it gets better here. But I can always read through the chat and do some other stuff on the live stream. I'll probably stream for an hour. Might go an hour and a half for feeling froggy. Gotcha. Alright, let's see if we can find the last of them. Let's go ahead and take these guys out. Oh, I see one of them. Well, at least I was able to frag somebody there. Yeah, the 1080 Ti for 800 to 900 bucks is not worth it. It only gets 250 frames per second on CSGO. Why would you need anything higher than 250 frames a second? I mean, really. If you're getting 60 frames a second on most things, you're okay. I mean, getting these insanely high amounts of frames per second, there is diminishing returns at some point. And we got the Lamer Linux. What's up, Lamer?
B, go to B, they're going to B.
Alright, okay.
A lot of them get moved over.
Wow. We actually won that round. That must be the dumbest Counter-Strike player I have ever seen. He snuck up on me while I wasn't looking, behind my back, emptied an entire clip, and still didn't kill me. It's like I was playing myself right there. Because I can do that too. I can empty an entire magazine and not hit anything. Oh, the bomb has already been planted this round. Lamer mentions he's thinking about hopping to Arch. Yeah, I really love Arch. Arch is a great distro. And Arch is one of those distros that once you get into it, it's hard to go anywhere else because of the repos. The Arch repos are just so fantastic, with the AUR especially. You can find anything you want in the Arch repos plus the AUR. You really get spoiled by the Arch repos.
My incendiary bounced off of him, bro.
Noble and Savage is in the chat. Hi, Noble. Let's see. Saw your tiling video. Yeah, day 25 of 30 on the tiling and terminal apps. Yeah, you've been moving to OpenBox, but you're thinking about trying Qtile. Yeah, it's worth trying out. And I love both. I mean, even after spending all this time in Qtile, which I absolutely love, I'll probably be back in OpenBox at some point. That's kind of been my pattern, you know, over the 10 years or so I've used Linux. I kind of fell in love with OpenBox very early on. Then I'll move to some tiling window manager. The first one I ever tried was Xmonad. Lived in it a few months, went back to OpenBox. Then found Qtile, lived in it for a few months, went back to OpenBox. Then went back to Xmonad for a little while, then back to OpenBox, you know, that sort of thing. OpenBox is still probably my favorite window manager. But I really like Qtile too, that's why I keep coming back to it as well. Plus, I've already got OpenBox, Qtile, and Xmonad all configured the way I like them. You know, I've got config files that I've saved for years. They're on my GitHub page. I can just pull it down from my GitHub repo. So I don't have to spend hours trying to configure, you know, some other window manager. And that's the thing. When you get these minimal window managers set to the way you like them, OpenBox, Qtile, Xmonad, i3, awesome, whatever. Save your config files. Upload them to GitHub. Go ahead and have your own GitHub repo. That way, anytime you do a fresh install of whatever distro, it doesn't matter. You just install your window manager, pull down your config files, you're set. You're good to go. Dang, I'm dead. I have to reload. Dang. Oh, I killed him, but he threw something. Okay. Or was that the detonator? I've actually gotten a little better at this game the more I played it. I mean, I killed 2 or 3 guys there in that little playground. Have I tried i3 yet? It's the best window manager. No, i3 is not the next one I'm going to take a look at, but the one after that. The next one I have to look at is Herbst Luft WM, then i3, then Ice Window Manager, and then I will be finished with the 12 window managers I initially set out to review in the Obscure Window Manager. So 3 left. Herbst, i3, and Ice Window Manager. Lamer mentions he's going to cheat on the Arch install. He's going to use the Felice installer. You do what you got to do. Actually, the command line installer for Arch is not that bad. What I would suggest you do, Lamer, I made a video recently. You guys watch me install Arch using the command line installer in a VM. Yeah, just watch me do that. I mean, when I cut out some of the dead air, I mean, the Arch install is not very long. Maybe 30 to 45 minutes. You can get through it. And it's not complicated. It's pretty straightforward. You pretty much just read the Arch Wiki page on how to install Arch. And it's not even a long page. I mean, it's pretty short. A lot of people make the Arch install to be harder than it is. It's not really that hard. Lamer mentions the graphic card looks awesome. I would hope it would look awesome, Lamer. I was actually kind of concerned. Because you don't want to spend, you know, $350 on a card and not be able to stream. And we're streaming in 720p here today. I never like to try to stream in 1080, you know. Although this card might be able to do 1080, I don't know. I should have set it to 1080 initially just to see how it went, but I kind of assumed 720. The thing would run like a champ. So now recording my desktop, you know, not streaming, just recording my desktop videos that I usually do. I do those 1080, 60 frames a second, and I've had no problems with that either. Let's see. Present arms. Find an old machine. Get a really old version of Slackware and install using boot and root floppies. Yeah, I know people that like to do that for nostalgia purposes. Install those really old distros, especially the old distros that they first started with. That's not something that really interests me. Especially the really old stuff like Slackware from the 90s. Why would I want to install that other than just to say I did it? It's not something you'd actually use.
Good job, guys.
Ricardo is in the chat. I'm planning to move to Arch from Manjaro, but I'm not sure if I used the LTS kernel or not. Well, you guys know I was running mainline Arch on my main production machine. I used it for about 2 weeks. And that was about 2 weeks ago. And then I went back to Manjaro for no real reason. I was having some issues with that old video card, so I kept distro hopping, thinking maybe the distro version kernels, NVIDIA driver versions, maybe different versions of OBS was the problem. It wasn't a software problem, it was a hardware problem. So I'm fine with both Arch and Manjaro. Both of them are fantastic distros. Regardless of which one I run, though, I would always run the LTS kernel, just for stability reasons. It's nice running a kernel that just works, that you know works. I don't want the kernel that just came out yesterday. You know, I don't want the latest and greatest. There's no need to get the very latest kernel unless you've bought like really super new hardware that has to have that latest kernel. There's never a need to go pull down that new kernel. So I'll stick with the LTS, even on Arch-based distros and Gen 2-based distros.
Let's do it.
And Lamer. I know how to install Arch on the command line, but I don't feel like typing all the commands. Too lazy.
It's okay, buddy.
Yeah, Present Arms mentions it makes you appreciate how far Linux has come in a relatively short time. I would agree.
Autism.
Linux is so much better than it was 5 years ago. It is night and day better than it was 10 years ago. Just hardware support.
I do.
And Lamer mentions he always uses the LTS kernel. It's easy and painless, yeah. Alright. Well, guys, I actually think I made the right decision buying a new graphics card. Of course, if that old card was failing on me, like I'm pretty sure it was, I had to buy a new graphics card anyway. But the 1060, yeah, looks great, feels great playing the game too. Alright, let's play one more here, and then we may call it a night, at least as far as the gaming. I may still chat with you guys for a little while, but okay. This is just a warm-up round here, so I may just go all John Rambo on these guys. And Steven mentions the 1060 should play games at 1080 to 1440p, no problem. Maybe the next time I stream, I'll try to do it at 1080p. I just scaled it down to 720p just to be sure everything would work. I knew 720p would be no problem. Okay, the match is starting in 3, 2, 1. Alright. I'm just going to follow the guys that know what they're doing. And Super Garija Hope I pronounced that right. And since he just installed CSGO on his Antergos PC, it kept crashing? Huh.
I just died to Julie's. Same.
Well, of course that guy killed me.
Wow,
He
that's
was
some clever
shooting me with a
commentary
dang
there.
Desert Eagle. How do these guys have such cool handguns to start off with, but I gotta start off with the crappy P2000? It's a bit unfair. I'm walking around shooting a 9mm, and other guys shooting a 50 cal handgun that could drop a giraffe. Wow, that game went quick. We must have some kind of hacker on our team because I never even saw the other team before they were all dead. Zaneris mentions he's impressed with the FPS. Is that frames per second or first person shooter? Got him. Yeah, so I'm learning the tricks now that I know that sometimes you can penetrate these walls. I was just really hugging that wall, hoping maybe I could clip him. Well, and of course I could just shoot 30 rounds and never hit him. Oh. Zaneris mentions, yeah, frames per second, not first person shooter. I will say this, it's hard to say because I don't game on this computer regularly, but you know, I did some CSGO streams on this channel with that old 760. But I will say, the graphics look a little better on the 1060 here. Just in my eyes, I don't know. Things just seem to look really clear.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Carlos is in the house. He asks, what's up? What's up, Carlos? Alright, do you use a text editor for work and leisure? And if so, what one? Well, I'm not a programmer or a developer, if that's what you're asking. But I mean, obviously I use a text editor. What one? Well, for the last 30 days I've been using Vim. But normally, what would I use? I like Genie. Genie is really nice. You know, I don't mind using things like Gedit, Mousepad, LeafPad. But usually if I bother installing one that's not already installed, I like Genie. It's a nice text editor. It's kind of more of an IDE. I mean, it's designed for people that program.
But thanks for letting me know.
Carlos, why not a LAN party? An old classic Xenotic.
I agree.
Yeah, I should install Xenotic. I haven't played that one in probably 2 years. But it was a really fun game. I remember that one. And Steven Anderson mentions Rise of the Tomb Raider is coming to Linux. Yep, that's big news. I saw some news articles about that. And running games and wine, a couple of people have asked about that. I'm not going to do any games and wine. I know some people are interested, especially Windows users that need to play games that are not available in Linux. Problem is, I'm not a Windows user. I don't have any of those games that you guys would be interested in. I haven't used Windows in many, 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 many years. I left Windows behind. Like in 2008, 2009 was the last time I actually owned a machine that had Windows installed on it. So, well, I think it's an interesting topic, and I agree. Somebody should do it. I'm probably not the right person for wine tutorials, especially gaming wine tutorials. Alright, where are they at? Okay. Wow, I cannot believe I just killed that guy. I was just shooting at random air. Oh. Alright. I don't know how many people are left in the game. It may just be me and one other guy from the other team, because I'm not seeing anybody. I need to go find the guy before he sets the bomb. If he even knows how to set the bomb, even if he has it. Now, these guys are on a time limit. If he doesn't find me and kill me in the next 14 seconds, we win. So I probably should just go hide. This is not a good spot to be in. Oh, I got one other teammate left, though. So we're looking good. Alright. Yeah, Mr. Nascimento mentions the bed calls me. See you next time, folks. Nice to be here, DT. Alright, JN. Good to see you. Yeah, they dropped the bomb at Site A. I guess I missed that. Noble mentions, "Chow, fella." Does Civilization work on wine? Civilization 4? I don't know. I know nothing about wine. I know nothing about Windows-only gaming or using wine. When I first switched to Linux, I did install wine just to try some stuff out in wine, but I realized right away wine was really, really crappy, and most things just would not work in wine, so why even bother? Once you make the switch to Linux, you just need to just commit to it. Either works on Linux or it's dead to you. Don't even try it. So that's pretty much where I'm at. If there is no native Linux client for something, it doesn't even exist to me. I don't even give it a second thought. So got another one. Racking up the kills now.
Not this.
Oh, and I was reading the chat and I wasn't paying attention there. Oh well. You know what? I think I've gotten enough
No.
CS:GO in for the evening anyway.
Gotcha.
Let's kill this. I'd like to check out some of the chat I've missed here. Okay. Yeah. I'm really liking the new video card. I think it's going to work out well for me. I'll switch to this view here. Read a little bit of the chat. Alright, guys. Let's see. DP826. Why would you run games through wine? Why bloat your PC? Yeah. I mean, the only reason to run a game in wine is if it is a Windows-only game. And again, I would just not even bother with Windows-only games. Now, if you were already invested because you played this game in Windows and you want to continue playing it on Linux, what you need to do is you either need to dual boot Windows. Not a great option. A better option might be to install a VM of Windows and play it in a VM. With modern VM technology, especially with GPU pass-through, which will utilize the full power of your graphics card on the host machine, you can game in VMs. So let's see. Steven Anderson, what did you leave behind when you left Windows? Did you have lots of movies, games, etc. that you walked away from? No, I was never a gamer So I know for a lot of people it's actually the gaming that keeps them on Windows. I was never a gamer, so I left nothing behind. Nothing at all. I can't think of anything on Windows that I actually miss. I mean, I just use your standard web browser, audio players like Windows Media Player or whatever. But none of that stuff, you're attached to. I didn't use any Windows only kind of programs for work that I just had to have or anything like that. So I was able to get away from Windows, cold turkey. I was just able to quit it cold turkey. Just one day had enough, had ransomware take over my machine, and I said, you know what, I had, I think Ubuntu 8.04, one of the Ubuntu's laying around. I'd already played with it in VMs and tested it on other machines. And I was like, you know what, I was planning on making the switch anyway, just going to go ahead and do it. Installed it that day, never looked back. So yes, Limler mentions Civilization works in Steam on Linux. Yeah, if there's a Steam client version of your game, there's no reason to even try Wine. Wine is pretty horrible. Yeah, Noble and Savage, a VM for Skyrim would be awesome, except nobody told me the i7 4770K doesn't allow pass-through. Oh, okay. Babbler, I'm not sure my machine can run Civilization 5. Then we got some talk about Compiz and OpenBox and Fluxbox. You cannot use Compiz with OpenBox or Fluxbox. Compiz is a compositor, but it's also a window manager too. So, it's built into one, where OpenBox and Fluxbox are window managers. Yeah, they need a third-party compositor, but it's not going to be Compiz. Compton is usually the one you want to go with for OpenBox, Fluxbox, Qtile, Xmonad, all of that. I did see a video many years ago where some guy hacked his Xmonad in such a way that he could use Compiz compositing within an Xmonad session, and he actually could get some of the Compiz effects using Xmonad. It was a really cool video, but why would you want to do that? Turning on all those effects too adds a lot of bloat to the system. It adds more system resource usage. The whole point of running something like OpenBox and Fluxbox is to be very light and very fast. So. And Present Arms, yeah, it's a compositor, not a window manager, desktop environment. That's correct, yeah. Compiz, yeah. The Compiz compositor, initially, when I first started with Linux, was used in the, what was it, the Metacity window manager, which was the standard window manager in the GNOME 2 desktop environment. You could either use the Metacity window manager with its own compositing, or you could turn on the Compiz compositing. This was in Ubuntu. I think some distributions still do that with Compiz. I think Ubuntu Mate does that. They use a window manager called Marco in the Mate desktop. And Marco has its own compositor that you can use. You can also turn on Compiz compositing for the wobbly windows and all of that. I haven't really played around with that stuff in a long time, though, with Compiz and all the effects. It was really neat when I first started in Linux, because it was, kind of neat stuff. It's stuff that you didn't see in Windows. But then you realize after a while, that stuff really doesn't add anything to your desktop experience. Exploding windows and drawing fire on the screen and all that. The Cairo Composite Manager does some effects. You know what? Is that even under development anymore? I haven't heard about the Cairo Composite Manager in a long time. Years, in fact. Because I haven't heard about it in a long time. I would be surprised if that thing is still under development. usually for these minimal lightweight window managers, pretty much the only compositor you hear about is Compton. And Compton's really good, so I would just stick with that. As Zanaris mentions, yeah, the Marco window manager and Monte is using the accelerated graphics now. Too bad I can't install it because Ubuntu is collecting data. Well, they're only collecting data if you agree to let them collect data. Actually, when I installed it in the VMs, I went ahead and agreed to let them have it. I mean, it's basically just hardware information, you know, information about your system. They ask nicely, so as long as they ask, yeah, why not? There's nothing, you know, no real telemetry like the Windows 10 stuff where they're pretty much spying on you all the time. This is, hey, what kind of CPU is your machine got, GPU, did you install the updates when you did the installer, you know, that kind of thing. So they can build a better Ubuntu. So the new Intel and AMD CPUs all work in Linux. Yeah, I don't know of any like mainstream CPUs that don't work in Linux. I mean, everything just works in Linux as far as, you know, CPU. Yeah, and Noble mentions, yeah, I'm not sure there's any hardware that hasn't either got modules in the Linux kernel or hacked drivers, yeah. And that's why we have such good hardware support. Actually, it's sometimes people mention, you know, switching distros, hopping distros to see if there's a difference in the hardware support for whatever they're running. All that stuff is taken care of in the Linux kernel usually. So, hardware support is pretty much the same regardless of what distro you go to, because a lot of that stuff is baked into the kernel. Ron Lee, so you're liking the new card, D? Yeah, loving it actually. I just like that, man. For a month, I was really struggling doing what I needed to do on the channel because my other card was I guess it was failing on me or something. I don't know. Maybe over time it just started failing. Maybe it had some heat issues along the way that was causing it problems. I don't know. But I know I could no longer stream at all, and just simply recording my desktop was a struggle. So, and I've had that card for 4 years, and it used to just do anything I needed it to do. So, I knew something wasn't right. But yeah, the 1060, loving it so far. If anything changes, of course, I'll keep you guys posted. But I think I made the right decision. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream here. You know, I played a CSGO there for about 45 minutes or so and sat here and read a little bit of the chat for another 10 minutes or so. I wanted to make sure the stream lasted a good hour or so. Again, it was kind of an impromptu stream. I just, you know, 10 minutes before I hit the start streaming button, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do a stream. So mainly just to test out, you know, playing CSGO in Steam while live streaming. How does the 1060 handle it? Of course, I only pushed it at 720p today. Maybe the next time I do one of these streams, especially if I do any gaming, I'll up it and see how we can how it handles 1080p. I don't know if 1080p would choke it or not. It might, but I suspect it would probably do fine at 1080. Next time we'll check it out and see. Before I go, though, I did notice in the chat, Proud White CIs. Let's see. DT, I joined Diaspora, thanks to you, and love it. You know what? I wanted to mention something about Diaspora. I've only been on it a couple days, too, and what a great community. What a great site. I'm really digging Diaspora. I'm going to do some more videos on Diaspora the more I play around with it and kind of figure out how it works. It was kind of strange figuring out how to use all the hashtags and stuff at first, but I'm definitely made the right choice getting off of Facebook and joining Diaspora. So all you guys that want to hit me up on Diaspora, just search for DistroTube on Diaspora. Let's see. Last call for anybody in the chat. You got anything to say? I'm about to kill it in another couple of minutes here. Let's see. Ricardo, thank you for the stream, DT. Have a good night. Thank you, Ricardo. And Steven Anderson, Amazon says Windows 10 only. Windows 10 only for what? Anything that's Windows 10 only, though, I don't want it. Ron Lee, I think Diaspora also seems cool. Okay, yep. Yeah, Steven, all CPUs work on Linux. Yeah, I've never heard of somebody, my CPU doesn't work on Linux. That's kind of like the first thing they get straight away in the kernel is all the chip architectures and everything. Yeah, we've got that covered in Linux, so we're past that point. Noble and Savage. Ciao, everyone. Glad I joined you for the first time. Thanks, Noble. Good to see you. All Intel, all AMD chips work. Yeah, everything works. Yeah. You should have no problem with any CPU in Linux. I've never heard of anybody having a problem with a CPU not working in Linux. I'm sure there's probably some fringe cases of somebody running something really strange, but I've never heard of someone that couldn't run a certain processor in Linux. Anyway, we're going to call that a night here. Let's see. And before I go, thank all you guys in the chat. Those of you that are still here, Babbler, Noble, Present Arms, Proud, Ricardo, Ron, Steven, Super Garage, Real Talk, Tux, and there's all you guys. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. You guys got to see just how insanely bad I am at playing first-person shooters. Also, before I go, let me go ahead and do a special thanks to my patrons, all my Patreon supporters, A.K. Ron, Mr. Neely Pops, John, Brian, Carl, Greg, Carlos, Rob, Matt, Darkwin, Mark, Christian, Jake, Benjamin, Stephen, Marcus, Interceptor, Bob, Leor, Omar, Silvio. You guys rock. You guys help make this show possible. Peace, guys.